Okay guys, for this next segment, I am going to have you use a string. And so this string, it needs to be 6, 7 feet long. It needs to be something that's non-elastic, something that won't stretch. This here I have has a piece of rubber on it, and yours does not need to have that. This is just something for training. If we were in person, I would be having you use this. But what we're going to be doing today, this is building a string bow, and it's something that we do with the Archery in the Schools program, and it really will help you to focus on your form and the mechanics of what we're doing without the distraction of the actual bow and targets. Before we put our hands on the bows, we're going to build the string bow so that I can show you proper form and technique. For this, we will first build the string bow, and since I am not there with you, you may want to go through these steps in front of a mirror where you can look at yourself and assess how you are holding. And I'll go through that after we build our string bow, and you'll understand better what I'm referring to. Once you've got your string, you're going to fold it in half, similar to what I have here. This looped end, you're going to put your fingers on the loop. That's where your fingers are going to be on the string when you draw a bow. Now, if you checked your eye dominance and you learned that you are right eye dominant, it will be your right hand that goes on this string. If you are left-handed and learn that you're left eye dominant, you will put your left hand on the string. So with that loop there and your fingers on the string, you want the string to be laying right here on the lifeline of your palm. Pinch the string there, put your fingers in that loop. You're going to draw back and to what we call an anchor point. So you're going to hold that, pull it here, and then you want your middle finger to be touching the corner of your mouth, okay? That's called an anchor point. So you're pulling back, and then this front arm, you want it straight, but you don't want it locked straight, okay? You want it kind of relaxed a little bit. A little bit of flex in there. And then if you look at me, my elbow is way out here, okay? I want my elbow back. I want it to come back here, and we're going to have proper shooting form. So now you've got this here. Keep this in your bow hand. This is a simulated bow hand. Keep that pinched in there, and then you can let go with this and grab on there. We're going to tie a knot right there as close as we can. So put that knot right in there and just snug it down right where your finger's pinched so that it's in that location, and then tighten that up. Here you've got about your hand width wide. You're going to grab there, and we're going to place another knot, okay? So we've got that second knot right in there. Pull that snug. So now we have two knots, and we have our looped end. This is our bow hand. This is our string hand. If you've got yours too long, what will happen is you're going to be way too far out. And if you've got it too short, you're going to be too far in, okay? And this is why I talked about measuring your draw length. And this is your draw length, basically, here. So when we're at the range, and I want you, when you're in your house, if you're in front of the mirror or in front of the computer screen, wherever you are, we're going to be at an archery range. And at the archery range, when we draw our bow, we only are going to draw it toward the target. So right now, either your computer screen or your mirror are your target range. So we're going to draw toward that. So I'm going to pivot my body, pivoting here. My feet are about shoulder width apart. I'm just going to relax my knees. I don't want them locked out, but relax your knees. And then this front toe, if you are a right eye shooter, then it would be your left toe. If you're left eye shooter, it will be your right toe, but you just want to cock that forward to about a 45-degree angle. And what that does is it gives you added stability. The string, this is where your arrow would be, and when we do our real bows, I'll be talking about that. I want you to get comfortable in your stance and form first. And so with that bow hand, this string is going to be right across the middle, your bow hand. So you can see how your hand forms a V, your thumb and your pointer finger. That bow is going to sit right in that V. And we're going to come back here get our string hand set and remember where we wanted our string in those fingers there, okay? Just on the finger notches and below the pad of your middle finger. We come straight back to our anchor point. We're focused on our target. There's tension here, you can see. It's taut, the string is. And now that we're at our anchor point, I would be aiming at my target. And I will discuss more with you about aiming once we put an arrow on our strings of our bows, because there are different techniques for aiming a bow that doesn't have a sight. And now we would set up for our shot. We're going to feel that back tension in our back muscles. Relax your shoulders. Don't put them up here. Want them relaxed, okay? You don't want your elbow up here. You don't want it down here. Just straight back. You want to follow that line. And then after you've focused on your target, you're going to take a breath. And to release the arrow, I'm going to pivot a little bit so you can see. When you release your arrow, you're simply opening your fingers and letting go, okay? And the idea of opening your fingers and letting go, you don't want to be trying to help the string forward, because that's going to interfere with your arrow. You want the string to use the energy to push the arrow off of it. So you're going to put that tension, check, make sure you're flat, make sure you're not up or down. This is why I'm saying you might need to do it in a mirror. And then pull back some, keep those shoulders relaxed, some back tension, and release. Okay? And if you notice when I released, I didn't release here. You just want to keep your bow hand at the target and release, okay? After you release, you're going to reflect. And something you might notice just reflecting, if you're practicing this in a mirror, is you might notice a little bit of, hopefully not burning, but you might feel some of your muscle energy up here. And you also might feel it when you're doing back tension. You might feel it around here. So these muscles are the ones that you're using when you're shooting a bow. So the keys that I want you to work on here, I want stance. I want you to know where your string hand is, where those fingers are going to be on the string. Look at your bow hand and where the grip goes on there. Then you're going to lift and draw the bow. Pull that straight back to your anchor point. Make sure you don't have any chicken wings. Make sure you're not overdrawn or underdrawn. And then you're pulling to that anchor point. You always want to go to that same exact point every single time you draw. And the reason for this is because if your finger is higher or lower on your cheek, or if it's further back, it's going to change the direction of your arrow. And then aiming, you want to look at your target. The way we aim, there is using the point of the arrow to aim, using the gap, and then there's instinctive shooting. And once you've shot a little, that instinct will become more prevalent. Your brain is super smart. It will instinctively calculate where you should be on a shot. Then once you've got that aiming, you're going to set up for your shot. Make sure your shoulders are relaxed. Check that back tension. Open your fingers, release, and follow through. After you do that, reflect and see how that felt. I want you to do all of this before we head to the range. And now I am going to get that range set up and I will meet you out there. For our next segment, I want you to have a bow and arrows and a good target and backstop so that we can do some shooting. Something else that I want you to do is I want you to, if you have long hair, find a way to tie that back. And this is a ladies course, but if you are a gentleman, if you have a big beard, you need to maybe rubber band that or find a way to tuck it in your shirt, or if you have a handlebar mustache. And I'm mentioning these things because if you get your hair caught in the bowstring, it can be very painful and we don't want anybody hurt or squealing. So get those things prepared and I will see you in the next segment, and we are going to put our hands on those bows.